free thing for Africa. So I support him in that.
He's gonna be singing that soon and very soon song.
The Jichopevu guy, I forget his name. Look at
Muhammad
how
Ali.
yeah. Look at how he used to expose the government and how now he is silent.
Yeah, so he's in.
Yeah, the Jichopevu guy, guy, he got his brown envelope.
Yes.
Now, South Africa Member of Parliament and EFF leader Julius Malema was in Kenya recently, actually in Makueni County in Lukenya.
I saw.
Yeah,
just one day.
Yes, so that was quite interesting, and he was invited to the new Pan-African Institute by PLO Lumumba. A couple of speeches were given in the event, and then Malema was a guest of honor, so he was given the mic, and to Malema's style, he took no prisoners. He had some very sharp words against President Ruto while he was in Kenya. Mike, like you've been, going through, like some of the things Malema said. Talk to us. Tell us, like what this was about.
Ideally, what this was about was Ruto not keeping
promises.
Yes. He considered him to be a Pan-Africanist because of what he was pitching. Like now, instead of using the dollar or whatever, use our own currency. Visas, making it visa-free. Borderless.
He said Ruto said by December.
By December.
Yeah.
Mpaka Malema said maybe he'll try and test the system by December.
I'll just show up and announce.
I'll just show up and announce.
Kwanza him has been banned by now, but anyway.
Then he equated that, and then talking about this, and then he welcomes a colonizer, the person who was whose people beat the Mau Mau.
You mean King Charles III?
Well, yeah, he didn't really say his name, but we put out a red carpet.
Okay.
So it was up to you to deduce who he was talking about. Of course, who we know. And he also said that he has been trying to find this guy. Look for him. So I don't know if he literally has. So ideally that was it. So the promises that Ruto made are not what he has kept.
It's not what he's doing right
now. Or what he has seen on the ground.
That one too. So that is his main issue. So he was saying if you're a Pan-Africanist, be a Pan-Africanist all the way. You can't be wishy-washy.
Yeah. You can't be here or there.
You can't be here or there, hot or cold or whatever. You can't be saying you're Pan-Africanist, but then you're canoodling and oogling and whatever and socializing and fraternizing with the colonizer.
Is that the same as saying pro-Israeli and then you go to the Arabs to ask for stuff and now you're switching?
That.
Okay. Now, he also actually mentioned about Ruto's pro-Israel stance. Talk to us about.
So he also mentioned that, and he quoted. He said, how can you be that when the Mau Mau themselves were in the same position as the Palestinians are?
Absolutely.
Currently, and how the South Africans were during apartheid, and where Nelson Mandela, who himself, and I think you mentioned that Nelson Mandela and Desmond Tutu were actually pro-Palestinian, pro-Palestine.
Yeah.
And you cannot, you have to take a stand.
No, not only were they pro-Palestine, I think they described, Palestine as an open-air prison.
Yes.
And Israel as an apartheid state.
Yes.
That's very powerful.
That was very
coming
powerful.
from those figures.
Yes. Yeah. So Malema was pushing that, and talking about in fact, he was talking about how the ICC, it was a very interesting speech, how the ICC itself can put out a warrant for Putin, but cannot put out a warrant for Netanyahu, who was bombed.
Yet is engaged
in war crimes, bombing, hospitals, trying to annihilate or cleanse, ethnically cleanse a people. So that was the speech, and he went hard at Ruto.
He went for the jugular, and he was sitting in Ruto's backyard, basically.
I know.
Yes.
So I watched this speech with my friend. She's African American, and I did tell her, this is just basic information that she knows what we're talking about. So this is a South African politician who came to Kenya for this event, and now he's kind of basically calling the Kenyan president, and she's just listening, and she's like, "Oh my word, what do you mean he say that?" And it's like, can we have somebody who can come and talk about that to our own president?
As in talk about
Like how Malema was talking about President Ruto, about Biden.
About Biden.
Yeah.
Well,
Or somebody who comes into the country and then says that.
Yeah.
Okay.
well, I mean, the
Especially
right now,
around the Israel-Palestinian thing.
there are people who are talking a lot of people are talking against President Biden, like, I mean, of course, from wherever they are,
Yeah.
inside the US or outside the US.
But he's saying like a politician. Okay, let's not talk about the equation that she made.
Yeah.
But it's just more her. She was shocked about that a politician would come from another country to come and like really go at another president in his own backyard. As Malema was doing.
That was actually a very risky move for Malema, but
Why?
with Malema,
Why was it risky in your opinion?
But that's Malema though.
I don't think it's risky.
But pay attention. It's a risky move in the sense that some of these things, Malema is a very good speaker. He's a very good orator. So sometimes you may go somewhere, and because you have to measure the crowd. If you're in a crowd, if you're, for example, in a crowd that's pro-president, it can go south. So, but Malema, with his style, he doesn't take no prisoners.
No.
He doesn't care who's in the crowd.
No.
He doesn't care, which is actually a breath of fresh air. Like in the sense that we usually have these people who come and they say all these nice things based on protocol, based on like
all protocols observed.
Yes,
that's
all
what they do.
protocols observed. Yeah.
But then, Ali, do you think if Malema was the president of South Africa, or if Malema was a high government official in South Africa, he will hold the same views?
I definitely, Malema, and if it was any other person, I would say no. But with Malema, I honestly think he'll hold the same views. And here's
Because
why.
you remember
I think he may be
our guy
tamed a
here,
bit.
Mr. Ruto talked tough, and how he's going to devalue the dollar in 2 weeks, how he's going to do this, how Kenya is going to work with BRICS, blah, blah, blah. Then he came begging here.
So the difference
with the tail
between
like,
so the difference, because the difference between Ruto and Malema is that Ruto is a non-liar. He's known to be inconsistent. He is, like there's no other way of saying it. But Malema
Use
has
the word
been
inconsistent.
Malema has been very consistent with the positions he's taken, especially on issues that are so controversial in South Africa. For example, in South Africa, if you're a politician and you speak against, like the xenophobia against black people, because politicians use that xenophobia to try and get more votes. They kind of low-key support it. But Malema is one of the few politicians who came out and said, no, this is wrong. And despite that, he still did not lose his seat. That's the reason why I feel like where he comes from the Winnie Mandela school of thought, because he was mentored by Winnie Mandela. I think he's so courageous, and I think, like a lot of powers that be would not want to see him become president, because I honestly think that Malema will bring that same gusto, that same swagger, and that same energy in the presidency. Ruth.
Slay has a question for you. Number one, she says, I hope his visa wasn't cancelled. Well, soon he should be able to come and test that visa-free thing for Africa. So I support him in that.
He's gonna be singing that soon and very soon song.
The Jichopevu guy, I forget his name. Look at
Muhammad
how
Ali.
Yeah. Look at how he used to expose the government and how now he is silent.
Yeah,
So he's in.
Yeah, the Jichopevu guy, guy, he got his brown envelope.
Yes.
and he
Several brown envelopes.
Because you see now, you know people's real character when they taste power. Like when he was at Jichopevu, he had no power. Like he was a journalist. But then when he became a member of parliament, that's when we saw his true colors, when he had power. So Malema, I've actually been following. Malema has been around for a very long time. He's young, he's in his early 40s, but he's been around politics for a very long time. He was actually expelled from the African National Congress.
Oh, that's why he has the EFF right now?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, he was expelled from
Yes,
ANC.
because he was anti-leaders. He was like, you guys are wrong. What you guys are doing is wrong. And there's no way that we're going to be part of this thing.
He stood up, like to all the leadership, like to the Mbekis, to all the establishment leaderships. He stood up to them. and that's the reason why he had to form his own political party, and he actually has quite a number of members of parliament within his party.
Yes.
And I think
wow.
what I've come to learn from Malema, I used to feel initially when I started, like listening to him, I used to feel like, okay, this guy, he's a bit too aggressive. He's not
Too
gonna
raw,
achieve. But what I came to learn from him is, especially when you're dealing with especially racists and junior partners of racists. Junior partners of racism are black people who push that racist narrative,
Who benefit from it.
or who benefit from it,
Yeah.
and also take part in pushing it. So if you're dealing with it,
Candice Owens.
you cannot be a nice person. You cannot be a nice person. Let's talk well. Malema, this version of Malema that you're seeing right now, this is a toned down version of Malema.
Yes.
I tell this to
He's
people.
very nice.
This is
This
a
is
very
a tone down.
Yes, this is a
Yes.
nice Malema.
Malema.
Wait, 'cause
Yes.
I listened to his Winnie Mandela funeral speech and I was like, wait
Even
a
then, he
minute.
was toned
That
That
down.
toned
is
down
toned
version.
down.
That
Yeah.
was him toned down.
Yeah.
In Parliament, if you've seen, there's times when it's chaos.
And that is why I asked you that question, Ali, because you've seen as he has grown more powerful and he's moving closer to power, and obviously he can be president. He can easily become president. We see there's a softening in him, and that is why I asked you, do you think when he has the responsibility of the whole country and he has to play politics too, will he still have the same views, or will he have to
Toned down.
play politics and be a politician?
So there's a softening, but he has not changed his positions. There's a softening.